Hi guys, I want to introduce you to our next text. It is called Seventh Grade by Gary Soto, and I think you will really enjoy this text. This is assigned to you, and you need to read it and make some jots on it so that we can use it for our exam next week and for some other writing activities and things we're going to do. So, this is a short story, and you need to show your thinking about character, themes, author's craft, and kind of keep in mind, and other things, but keep in mind for seventh grade, when we are talking about character, you might also want to take some notes about the minor characters and how they affect the main character. You might want to look for hidden sides, character traits, character change. These are notes you should take about character, not just he's cool. Okay, we got to go deeper than that. When it comes to theme, you're marking more than one theme. And you're looking at maybe some evidence to support the theme. When it comes to author's craft, you're looking at those goals and techniques that we used earlier in the year, and you're welcome to pull this chart up. Why is the author doing this? Why is the author putting this technique in? Why is there symbolism? Or why is it a happy, funny mood? Things like that. So as you read, you're making comments on those things. So this is going to take you some time. That's why I gave you all week. Let's say you want to comment on this character. You can always just click on this. And if your comment box doesn't automatically come up, just a reminder, up here's where you make a comment. You could also do this on in between the paragraphs if you want to, but do put it in a separate color. I think it's easier just to mark the part where you're thinking and put some of your thinking on. Again, focusing on these topics especially. If you want, you can read it through once just to get the gist and then go back and reread it and make your thinking known then. All right, so let's get started. Seventh Grade by Gary Soto. And this is from a book of short stories. Here we go. On the first day of school, Victor stood in line half an hour before he came to a wobbly card table. He was handed a packet of papers and a computer card on which he listed his one elective, French. He already spoke Spanish and English, but he thought someday he might travel to France, where it was cool, not like Fresno, where summer days reach 110 degrees in the shade. There were rivers in France and huge churches and fair skinned people everywhere, the way there were brown people all around Victor. So, using my background knowledge, he's choosing an elective. And I know when you're in high school, you get to pick some courses that you want to take, and that's an elective. Like band or choir can be an elective here in middle school. You don't have to take it, but you're electing to or choosing to. And so that's what he's talking about. He's also an interesting character. He's dreaming about going to France someday. So that's kind of interesting. I'm just going to put that in the back of my mind. I might make a comment on my reread if I find that that's important, that he's dreaming about going to France someday. I noticed too, he's kind of mulling over thinking about fair skin versus brown people around Victor. He speaks Spanish. So I'm noticing maybe there's some background here. Fresno's in California. So yeah, I'm just going to keep that in the back of my head. So here we go. Besides, Teresa, a girl he had liked since they were in catechism class at St. Teresa's, was taking French too. With any luck, they would be in the same class. Teresa's going to be my girl this year, he promised himself as he left the gym full of students in their new fall clothes. She was cute and good in math, too, Victor thought as he walked down the hall to his homeroom. He ran into his friend, Michael Torres, by the water fountain that never turned off. This is kind of an odd detail. Again, I may come back. Why think about why would the author put this in here? Is it symbolic? Does it have something to do with just the setting and the importance of maybe it's just kind of a rundown building? Maybe they're trying to get the mood and the tone. Might be something interesting. I'm starting to already notice maybe conflict here. Um, what he wants and what he needs is being mentioned, and maybe that's going to cause some problems for him. So here come, and also I'm looking at these minor characters, kind of my spidey senses, my language arts senses are telling me to watch this Michael Torres um, character because it's a friend of Victor's. They shook hands Raza style and jerked their heads at one another in a saludo de vado. How come you're making a face? Asked Victor. I ain't making a face, essay. This is my face, Michael said. His face had changed during the summer. He had read a GQ magazine that his older brother had borrowed from the bookmobile and noticed that the male models all had the same look on their faces. They would stand one arm around a beautiful woman and scowl. They would sit at the pool, their ripped stomachs dark with shadow, and scowl. They would sit at dinner tables, cool drinks in their hands, and scowl. I think it works, Michael said. He scowled and let his upper lip quiver. His teeth showed along with the ferocity of his soul. Belinda Reyes walked by a while ago and looked at me, he said. Victor didn't say anything, though he thought his friend looked pretty strange. They talked about recent movies, baseball, their parents, and the horrors of picking grapes in order to buy their fall clothes. Picking grapes was like living in Siberia, except hot and more boring. What classes are you taking? Michael said, scowling. French, how about you? Spanish. I ain't so good at it. Or I ain't so good at it, is what that's supposed to be. Even if I'm Mexican. I'm not either, but I'm better at it than math, that's for sure. A tiny three-beat bell propelled students to their homerooms. The two friends socked each other in the arm and went their ways. Victor thinking, man, that's weird. Michael thinks making a face makes him handsome. So I'm going to pause there for a minute. Some things I'm noticing um, is a little bit more background about the main character and his friend. They're both Mexican, and they talk about some of their problems. The fact that they have to pick grapes just to um, buy their new clothes for school. That's definitely not something I have to do. So that would be a challenge, especially in 110 degrees. That they're probably, that's a struggle. I'm also noticing that he's mentioned a couple times math and how he's not good at math. And I'm wondering if that's going to be important later in the story. I'm also noticing, and this is kind of humorous, this idea that his friend thinks making this face that he saw in a magazine that all the models made, that this is going to attract a woman, a girl. That, the scowl, this face is going to. And if you just look up or Google search that scowl, um, you'll see kind of what that looks like on Google Images. It's kind of a stern or mad face. Yeah, like here, this is that scowl that would, all the male models would have. And so he's going around school making kind of these faces and hoping that this will get him um, a girl. Yeah. I'm thinking this looks kind of intense and kind of silly, and that this is going to create maybe some more problems. Okay, so I'm going to just let you know as you continue reading. There's going to be some Spanish words. You can either look them up or figure them out kind of from the context of the story. There aren't a lot. You're going to see these two characters interact more. The two friends. Teresa is going to come into the story a little bit too. We know he really wants a girlfriend, our main character, but there are going to be some conflicts. And even I'm starting to think about theme. What does this main character need to learn? And that sometimes in life or sometimes people, and there should be more than one theme, remember. So we need to kind of be aware of that. Maybe something with Teresa, maybe something about he and his best friend, maybe something even about his background, or, having to struggle in order to get things. All right, so continue reading the story. I hope you like it. I think it's a fun story. It's got some high level words in it, but certainly makes for a fun story overall. Don't be afraid to read it all the way through first, and then go back and look at and mark some of those thoughts that you have about the story. Okay, over and out. Thanks.